Hi, thank you so much for joining me for today's process video, and today I'm using Vicki Boutin's Discover and Create to document some photos of food. Back in 2015, we went on a very special trip to Boston, and using air miles we're able to travel first class, and part of that was going into the Concorde Lounge, the British Airways first class lounge at Heathrow, and we had a beautiful lunch there. So these are photos of our lunch and I wanted to document it. So I've grabbed a paper from the paper pad as my background. It's just like a ledger paper, and then I'm going through some scraps to create strips to create an L shape to go down the left and bottom side of the page. So I'm just slowly building up these neutral tone strips to create that L shape. Just going through what I have. Some of them are branding strips, as you can see. So this piece I've just cut just short of the hole that was in the branding strip on the paper pad and using that. And as I say, just slowly building things up before I start to stick them down. So I'm going to, as per usual, distress all of the edges just to get that lovely texture on the page, and then layer them up more or less as they're shown on the page here. So just making sure that I had that black and white stripe on the left-hand side there. That was how I had it before, and I really liked that. I don't know why, sometimes you just see something and think, yep, definitely needs to be on that side. By the time the page is all finished, you can barely see it anyway, but at the time it always seems terribly important. So just tucking things under, trying to make sure they're straight-ish. I do love using a ledger paper because it's got those lines as my guideline to check that I'm more or less straight while I'm gluing things down. Terrible for getting things wonky. And layering things on top of each other as well, just to create that interest and those different levels. And I'm just trying to add the glue down the middle of the strips so that I can bend them up slightly and create a bit of movement on the page. So using my Tim Holtz edge distresser to distress those edges. And it's interesting how different the papers are. Some of these are open cardstock and some of them are from the paper pad, and the paper pad is much thinner. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other in any sense, but it's just interesting how they are different. So when you're distressing, you have to think before you go in too heavy on the light papers. Almost there now. Just getting these last few bits tucked in. And as I say, you can see that I've gone for the neutral colours. The photos are relatively dark and have relatively neutral colours in them. There aren't any bright pops. So I didn't want anything too dark or too bright to distract from the photos on these layers. So just choosing carefully while I went through. And that's why I love this collection, Discover and Create. It's full of all these beautiful neutrals and pale colours as well, so they're not too overwhelming on the page. So I think this piece was from a 6x8 paper pad, so I think that's the last piece that's going to go down there, and that's the only blue that I've got. All the others are grey tonals or beige. Oh yes, just this last branding strip, slightly narrower than my ATG tape, so just having to fold that in a little bit there. And then roughing up those edges. So now that's done, I'm reaching into my 49er Market washi tape. Now I've got to confess, this washi tape has been sitting on my desk for about 2 weeks, and I have every intention of using it. I think because it's become part of the furniture, I forget that it's there every time I do a layout. So before I started this one, I made a mental note to make sure that I reached for it. So these are all stitched washies, and I'm just adding some more layers across the page, again just to create another little bit of interest. And they're semi-translucent, so they show a little bit of what's behind through, which is nice. So now those are down, I can get these photos stuck down, and I'm not going to map these. I think there's enough going on the page and enough of a definition between them that I don't need to add a map behind them. I had these printed years ago at one of these professional printing shops, and it's very glossy paper, so I do apologise for the reflections that you'll get from the ring light there. So it's just a picture of my meal, Ross's meal, and then a glass of champagne. We certainly enjoyed the champagne while we were sitting in the lounge. We had quite a few hours before our evening flight, so we definitely took advantage. So just wanted another strip here, just to fill in that gap really underneath the glass of champagne. So just tucking it underneath that bottom left hand photo and then letting it come across underneath the glass of champagne photo. So now I'm pulling out all sorts of bits and pieces from my old stash. So I found this little chipboard circle from Simply the Best, I think it is, from Pink Fresh Studio. And then that circle web has been cut from one of our new dies at Hey Little Magpie, just from one of the papers in the Vicki Boutin collection. This Relax Here sticker is actually from Sweet Brush, another one of Vicki Boutin's collections. And then I found a little sticker that said Grateful For. So I added that. I do add this green sticker, but it does get removed. I find a different one to add instead in the end. But I do find another one of those chipboard Flair, and this just says My Happy Place. So now the same collection, I had the 6x12 sticker sheet, and I just found one that said This Was Crazy, and I thought that was a good option to add there. And then this little one here that says Live Up to the Hype, because it certainly did. A little arrow, I should just pop down at the bottom there next to that Relax Here. And then a stacked word sticker that says Good Food, Good Mood. And I'm just going to tuck that into that bottom cluster there. So now from the Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Essentials, there's this beautiful foam sticker that says The Good Life. And I think that's going to work really nicely with these photos. So I'm going to add that at the bottom there. And it's great going through all these older pieces in my stash and just using up little bits and pieces. I love layouts that come together like this. So a little foam heart from the same sticker sheet. And then this one that just says yes. So just add that to the top of that strip of paper. So now the same collection, I'm going into the sticker book, and there are lots of lovely alphabets in here. So I'm going to spell out my title, which is Lunch in the Concord Lounge. So I start off with the tile stickers and put lunch in there, and then I switch to the typewriter ones to put Concord and Lounge in two varying typewriter stickers there. So that's the end of the tile ones, and then coming into these typewriter keys. And the Concord word, I have to overlap them slightly because it's a bit too long to fit without being overlapped. But then Lounge, I can just butt them up next to one another and have that stuck down there. So now looking at the word phrases to see what else I can find. And I find this lovely strip that's going to go along the bottom that says Magnificent. And then this one says This Moment. So that fits nicely underneath that Grateful For. So it now reads Grateful For This Moment. Today was amazing. And I'm just going through and finding anything that I think would fit the photos or the day itself. And then this one, The Adventure Begins Here, because obviously this was the beginning of our trip. So I thought that would work nicely. And then Remember. So Remember Lunch in the Concord Lounge. So now this Heidi Swap sticker book, I'm just having a look through to see what I can find. I love these chevrons. I think they're supposed to be photo corners, but I use them as chevrons. So using the pale pink at the top, just adding 3 at the top there, pointing down to the photos. And then I'm going to add another 2 to the right underneath the photo in that darker pink. There wasn't enough space really to add 3, so I've just added 2. So I wanted to add a little bit more of this washi tape, so I pulled out the black one again, and I'm adding a strip along the left-hand side. So I've just added it above that yes, and then the little bit that I tore off added to the bottom, so it looks like it's going behind all those strips. And then I pull out one of our bits and pieces fabric tabs that says Smile here, and add that as a loop behind the photo. Just stapling it on with my tiny attacher. I do manage to tear that Remember sticker, which has annoyed me a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much. Just adding some glue to get it stuck down back together. And then a tab on the left-hand side using my EK Success tab punch. I've just punched a load of these out of scrap black cardstock while I was watching the telly one night, and I have those in a little drawer on my desk. along with some bits and pieces. So this is one of the gingham hearts from the bits and pieces that we sell at Hey Little Magpie. And on that tab I am going to add my date using a roller date stamp shortly. I'm just adding a ribbon loop, again in black gingham ribbon there. And then this sticker just says "So Blessed." So now coming in with a scrap, actually this is one of the branding strips again, and adding my roller date stamp to that, and then I just stick that onto the tab at the top as is on the side of the photo there. So just using some wet glue to get that stuck down. And then adding some foam pads behind just to raise it up a bit, and that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this. Do ask if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you all, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.